Okay, this meeting is being called to order, our regular city council meeting. It's Calexico City Council, Calexico Redevelopment, Assessor Agency, Calexico Financing Authority, regular session agenda. It's 6:38, September 16. Okay, Gabby?
Mayor Arriola Fernandez.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Bryson.
Here.
Councilmember Pacheco.
Here.
Councilmember Garcia.
Here.
Councilmember Hodge.
Here.
We have a quorum, Mayor.
Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mission statement. Together,
we pledge to provide effective and essential services and in a courteous and respectful manner to improve the quality of life for the unique border community. Viva Calexico.
mission statement. Together,
we pledge to provide effective and essential.
Okay. The invocation, I will be saying it. Lovely Heavenly Father, we come to you this hour asking for your blessing and help as we are gathered together. We pray for guidance in the matters at hand and ask that you would clearly show us how to conduct our work with the spirit of joy and enthusiasm. Give us the desire to find ways to excel in our work. We ask this in the glorious name of the Lord. Amen.
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 Very good.
Closed session.
Thank you, Council. City Council meeting closed session, and we have no reportable actions from closed session. Thank you.
Approval of the agenda.
I'll second that, Madam Mayor.
Arriola Fernandez.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Bryson. Aye. Councilmember Pacheco.
Aye.
Councilmember Garcia.
Aye.
Councilmember Hodge.
Aye.
We have a quorum, Mayor. Motion passes unanimously.
Presentations, coronavirus COVID-19 update by Police Chief Gerardo and Fire Chief Diego Fabilan.
Hey, good evening, Honorable City Council, to the staff that's here, and obviously to our citizens and customers of Calexico that are watching via our streaming platforms. Today's presentation on COVID will be brief. The Imperial County continues to be in our Tier 2, which is the purple, for our consecutive 2 weeks. Remember, those get updated every Monday, will be released on Tuesday, so hopefully the next update will be on the 22nd. Just looking at the numbers for the Imperial County and also for the city of Calexico, it seems to be decreasing, which is a good thing for us. Cases in Calexico at the moment are 3292. Active cases are 80, and that's a decrease from, if we recall from our last meeting, it was 206.
Wow.
So we're at 80 active cases, which is a good sign for us. Unfortunately, we did add three new deaths to our death toll, which brings us up to 105 from previous 102. The number that I told you guys that I mentioned, which was the number that brought me the most comfort, was the recovered. It says that we can get out of this. That number has increased to 3,266. So as long as these numbers continue to decrease and increase where they're supposed to, the Imperial County as well as the city of Calexico should find themselves getting closer to the Tier 2 section, which would be I believe is the yellow, no, correction, the red one, yes. Remember that the California Department of Public Health will assess all the indicators the positivity rate, and they do those on Mondays, and they'll be assigned the new tiers on Tuesdays. So those are the numbers that we have there. The city of Calexico, we prepare to be ready for any wave that might come from the COVID. Your fire department is well equipped, well trained, as well as ready to help the customers of Calexico. The other thing is we've also seen a decrease in COVID calls to the ports of entry. That's for both pedestrian and vehicle. We were averaging 11 a day at our highest, and we're down to 3 in the last week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's a substantial drop, and obviously that's good for indicators for our numbers, but it's also good for our employees because they're not putting themselves at risk as frequently as we were in the beginning. Let me see here. The other topic that came about last week was the travel restrictions. That's scheduled to be ending on September 22nd. There has been nothing official released yet in regards to either extending the travel restriction or to finish with it. So as soon as we have that information, I'll make sure to keep you guys posted, as well as our community. We continue to help with the opening of new businesses in Calexico, of the reopening. That's what this one tier system did. It was provided some really good guidelines on how to actually answer some of these questions for these businesses that we're starting. It gives us a good guidelines, and that is helping us out. And I know that our business owners are happy, and they're pleased that we're giving them the right answers. I'm going to end with this. If you haven't been tested, again, if you feel like you should be tested, go on to our Calexico City website, and there's the testing locations there. Stay vigilant, because as we are improving from the last presentation, we're increasing by big numbers, but we're still not out of the red. So let's just continue to be disciplined. Make sure you wear your mask in public. Wash your hands, soap and water. Keep at least 6 feet of physical distance between another. Limit your mixing with people that you don't live with. Sometimes that's hard to do, but we still have to try. Clean and disinfect all of the frequently touched areas that could be in your house or your place of employment. Stay home if you're not feeling sick. And that's it on my part. The police chief will follow up with some of his comments. Do you have any questions for it? No? Okay.
Chief, the fires, issues with the fires in Northern California?
Yeah, so we sent out our brush truck, which is the fire engine that is as equipped and prepared for the wildland fires. We sent that originally to Monterey County, and just recently it got reassigned to the Fresno fire, which is, I believe it's the Creek fire. We send that with one engineer, just because we're low on staff, but we were able to send one person with the engine, and the other complementary positions were filled by the city of El Centro. So they were able to send their captain and 2 other firefighters. So that's just one unit from the 5 units that came from the Imperial County that are up there at the strike team. They're set up for a swap, which is going to happen this Saturday, which basically means that your firefighters are assigned for 14 days, and they can work for 14 days, and at that point they time out. So we have to send a replacement for them. Because remember, these guys are up there in the mountains, and they're sleeping either in the back of the fire truck, on the floor. If they're lucky, they're able to get into base camp. It's a big sacrifice for themselves, also the family. And I appreciate George, and that's the gentleman that's out there, George. I appreciate for him being out there. Like I said, it does impact the family because you're gone for 14 days. And I pray that all the firefighters that are out there throughout California, actually throughout the whole nation that are fighting these fires, I hope and pray that they're safe, that God looks after them, takes care of their families. And if anything, other updates on those fires, I'll for sure let you guys know.
Yeah, it's a mess. It's just going northern into the other states.
Yeah, we're going farther north to Oregon.
And the winds are just pushing all that.
Yeah, we have firefighters that are coming from Florida all the way down here to help out. So yeah, seems like the seasons get tougher every year.
help, and that was good.
All right, appreciate that. Yes.
Chief, one question here.
Yes, sir.
Do you have a direct contact with David Salazar, Puerto Rico?
Yes, I can get, yes. I spoke with, before the meeting, I spoke with Watch Commander Apolinar, and he was the one that was providing me the updates.
We hope that they'll open it up on the 22nd.
We're shooting for that, hopefully, yes.
Now that
Hopefully.
it's going down, so
Yeah, hopefully we can do that.
good.
All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Good evening. It's good evening, citizens of Calexico, our residents and staff. Well, with me, since Diego covered most of the COVID, one of the things that I didn't do last meeting was I was going to bring you up to date where we are with our hiring. Last Wednesday, we swore in a new officer. He's a young man from Calexico. Calexico, born and raised, went to IVC, went through the academy, and he came back, and so he started. We currently have four people on field training. One of them is on his last final phase. He started it this week. If everything goes well, in 2 weeks he should be on his own. Then we have Officer Casillas that also is just going through a refresher. Once he's done with his field training officer, hopefully he'll be on his own too, so they'll put an extra 2 bodies, and that will leave us with 3 officers on field training. I'm hoping by is it Halloween, be another officer off FTO, and that will leave me 2 people on FTO that we can hopefully, it'll go into right before Christmas, they should be on their own. So our staffing levels are not where we would like them to be, but we are a lot better off than we were a year ago. So I got more boots on the ground right now. We do have some applicants that we're working with HR. HR has been working really hard to get those filled. And like I told you before, it's not so much that we can, there's nobody applying, is the people that are applying cannot pass the qualifications that they need to have in order to pass. So they're not passing the polygraph, or they're not passing the background. And we as a department and as a city, we decided that we wanted to be very careful on our hiring practices. We want to hire nothing but the best. We want quality, not quantity. So that's one of the things that we want. We want our department to continue growing to the better. With everything that's happening around the nation, there's less and less people applying to be police officers. But there's still people that feel that it's a call. Like the young man that just got hired last week said that it's something that he felt since he's been 5 years old. And so he's living his dream now. So it's all up to him now to make it. So with that said, I mean, we've had some serious calls. In this last week, we had a stabbing, and we were able to arrest a person. This person has $1 million bail, and I found out today that the district attorney's office did approve the report, and she will be held accountable for that. She's still in jail. She hasn't been released yet. We've had some other interesting calls, some very large embezzlements of money in a corporation that we're working right now. We were able to identify a suspect and arrest a suspect, but we're still doing a lot of paperwork. We served 2 search warrants last week on a Thursday and Friday night. That's how busy we were. We haven't had search warrants in a while, but we had 2 back-to-back. That group of officers that's working that shift have a lot of experience, so they were able to handle it, and they did very well. Other than that, like I said, just if people are going out, that's one of the things that I forgot to mention last time, is make sure you lock up your doors. Make sure you have light on at night, because you don't want to come back home and your house got broken into. Make sure you tell your neighbor to watch your house. because everybody's walking around with masks. Before we saw somebody walking around with a mask, it would probably cause to stop because most likely we're committing a crime. Now everybody wears masks, so it's very hard to for us to just stop people for no reason. So, just tell people got to watch out for each other as part of being a good neighbor. You're not being nosy or metiche, like they said. It's just if you trust your neighbor, tell them you're going to be taking off for a couple of hours. Keep an eye on the house because there's too many people out there right now. Like I said, and it's very hard for us to identify who's friend or foe. And unfortunately, it's because of COVID, it's still not taking a lot of these guys and receiving them at the jail. But if it is a residential burglary, they do go to jail. And I had a meeting also regarding mental health. It was a very productive meeting. We're working towards the same goal countywide with the sheriff's office and the police departments and county mental health, the CEO, Tony Rodas, and the hospitals. We had a meeting on Friday, and it looks like we're going to reach what we want to do is have social workers from behavioral health teaming up with police departments across the county and also working by themselves, but they will tell us when they're in town. And in case there's a crisis, they'll be able to respond faster to try to handle that crisis, because it's a crisis. Mental health is not a crime, and we don't want to get for them to commit a crime or something like that. So it was a very productive meeting. I'm happy to report. Hopefully we'll move forward to what we're doing when it comes to mental health. Like I said last time, I told you, that we were experiencing a high volume of mental health calls, and they maintained steady this past week. But there's something with the full moon, and as we get closer to it, it does affect a lot of people, and we see it in the police and fire service. So if you know somebody's having crisis, might want to sit down with them, and if there's a family member, and talk to them and try to de-escalate it. If you can't, then you're going to have to call us, and we'll try to help you guys out by taking them to mental health.
Chief?
Yes, sir.
How many now active police officers do we have on duty, more or less?
So, and that's the whole thing is that we have 24 right now, including myself and Lieutenant Serrano. And we count ourselves because at any time we can go out in the streets, and I do go out in the streets during the day to back up my officers. So does Lieutenant Serrano. So total 24. Out in the streets, 17.
Okay.
Not at one time. Through different shifts, either 1 in 3 or 1 in 4. Being a sergeant or a supervisor. We have people that have to take days off or they get sick. I have people that are also on modified duty right now. So,
thank you.
One thing on the animal control facility, we had to make some purchases this year. We were able to buy 5 new coolers, and we needed to buy a new freezer. The freezer is where we keep our canines that we pick up that are on the side of the road, dead, or the cats. So we keep them in the freezer until we get ready to dispose them properly. But we were able to get the coolers, which to me was a big, purchase that we had to make this year. So we're taking care of animals. We did get some animals that were adopted out through a rescue out in San Diego, and we're going to continue working with them through our volunteers and through Dee's rescue. And I know we don't move fast enough for a lot of people, but that's we can only do what we can do at the time. But we're moving forward with animal control facilities.
Chief, I don't see a lot of homeless. I don't know what's going on, but especially back here, I don't know if they're concentrating in another area, but I'm seeing less people walking around.
So a lot of it has to do with the heat on that, and also I know I spoke with Maribel Padilla from the Brown Bag Coalition, and she's asked them to move to other places other than to be here at Rocco Plaza. And so she helped us a lot by getting the message through to them, because she also understands that a lot of these homeless people choose to be homeless, and even if we found them a place to stay, they wouldn't stay there because they don't want to follow the rules. So we came to an agreement on that. I was on the phone with her for about an hour and a half one day, regarding the homeless. So I asked her, I said, hey, you know what, I thank you. I actually thanked her for doing that for us. But I know they are going down to the New River bottom, where we're getting complaints. We're keeping an eye on them, but I mean, we can't continue to do that a lot. But I mean, like I said, they're behaving so far right now, and I hope by you bringing it up that you didn't jinx us, Mr. Pacheco, because they can take a lot of our time.
Yeah.
So they are very good people. The homeless people, they do somewhat have a problem, but when you get to know them and talk to them, they're not bad people. They just choose to be homeless, and they have a drinking problem. So that's all I gotta say.
I found some in the alleys. They sleep in the alleys now.
Yeah. Well, their alleys are safe.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Our Supervisor Escobar is here. Welcome. Do you have anything that you would like to communicate to us?
Thank you, Mayor. This side or?
Any side.
Good afternoon. A ver, nomás el protocolo. Limpio antes y después, ¿verdad? Ok, después entonces. Mayor, council members, Gaby,
Welcome.
Miguel, Carlos. Two things. I have three things, but one's an actual item, so I'll wait on this. Wanted to comment on two specific issues. Mayor Arola Fernandez and Council Member Risen, we were together at a meeting with CEP officials, the regional director, port director here locally, and a couple other officials, Officer in Charge Beltran and another official. The reason I'm bringing this up is, as you may be aware, border wait times have significantly increased south to north, unfortunately. So we figure out the north to south, and now we have the issue south to north.
Yeah.
We have the issue of the pandemic that's going to be with us. Again, they're following protocols. I fully understand that. I fully support that. I've always been a proponent of trying to curb the rise in COVID-19 at the regional, at the local level. Having said that, there's one specific issue that I've brought to their attention, and I'm hoping to get your support through our city manager, and that is the wait times between the hours of 8 to 12. 8 to 12 are a crucial time for essential workers to be crossing the border, and according to official figures or unofficial figures that CBP provided to me, it's a 2-hour average wait time between 8 and 12. According to the people that I've spoken to, or that have called me, that have texted me, that have basically said explicitives to me that I'm not doing anything, it's more in the neighborhood of 3 to 4 hours. Yeah. So the issue that I'm bringing up is something hopefully of collaboration between the city and the county so that we can address this issue. Again, if we work together as a team, we may be able to get it done. And all we're asking for here is so that they can look at the specific allotted time of 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. and from that for that specific interval, if they can open up more lanes. That is the bottom line. That will solve, at least partially solve, the issue that we have at hand. Again, afternoons, evenings, weekends, it's very hard to argue what they're trying to do. In fact, it's unarguable. They're trying to curb COVID-19, and that's fine. I'm not going to argue. But again, from 8 to 12, Monday through Friday, I think it's definitely an area that we need to tackle, and we need to continually address as we move forward, because again, I don't think this is going to end, unfortunately, until the November elections, more than likely. The other point I wanted to make, and I apologize, I'm a little bit out of breath. I want to thank Councilmember Pacheco for being elected the chair of the Southern Border Committee. I want to thank City Manager Figueroa for being the vice chair, being elected the vice chair, and Secretary Belinda Alvarado. Again, great first meeting. I'm looking forward to subsequent meetings. I think we're going to be able to serve the city of Calexico and the Calexico community in general in a very effective way. So I'm very excited about our committee. I'll end it there, and I'll wait for public comments on a specific item. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, announcements.
These proceedings may be viewed on the City of Calexico website at www.calexico.ca.gov the Friday following the City Council meeting. Community office hours with Mayor Ariola Fernandez are suspended until further notice due to coronavirus COVID-19.
Public comments.
This is the time for the public to address the City Council on any item not appearing on the agenda that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council. During the current state of emergency, public comments submitted via email by the 4 p.m. deadline of September 16, 2020 will be read aloud and entered into the record. Any comments received during or after the meeting will be distributed to the City Council and retained for the official record. The City Council is prohibited by state law from taking action or discussing items not included on the printed agenda. I have one public comment, Madam Mayor. This message is from Alberto Albizu, and he says, "Today I am writing to you to let you know that the merchants of the city of Calexico continue to fall. Many businesses in Calexico continue to die, and until this moment, you members of the council are not going out to investigate or find out about the situation we are experiencing. You just don't care. But what can we see from you on the streets of Calexico today are just signs promoting your candidacy for re-election. I want to tell you, I am one of the hundreds of merchants who were affected by your bad decision when you decided to close and sue one of the great businesses that our city has given, the Santo Tomas Swap Meet. In case you forget, I want to remind you of the following. I am a merchant from this city who had his business in Santo Tomas for more than 10 years. I am the son of a family of merchants from this city who had his business in Santo Tomas for more than 35 years. And I remind you that, Mayor Rosie Arreola, you never listened to us. You never attended us. You didn't want to hear from us when we tried to contact you. Pacheco, you never went to see the people of Santo Tomas, never went to attend to their needs, and you only supported decisions of the city manager, David Dale. Morris and Hodge, you said you were going to help and you did nothing. Now all of you with your own mouth say and declare that it was all the fault of David Dale, the former city manager, and that he was the one who did everything. Once I told you, and today I repeat it to you. You were the main responsible for having supported the lawsuit against the working people of Calexico. I hope one day you will do things well for the people and businesses of Calexico.
Thank you. Is that all we have? City Manager's report?
Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members, members of the community. I have some items to report. First off, at the last city council meeting, there was a request by Council Member Garcia to work on a letter addressed to our authorities at the port of entry. I do want to share with the council that such letter has been drafted. I appreciate the update that Supervisor Escobar made, because those are the points of emphasis that we're going to do on this letter that we're going to be submitting. And this is regardless of what announcement is to come on September 20th. I think at the end of the day, one of the things that we are concerned that we want to make sure is that the workforce coming from Mexicali into the United States on a daily basis does not have to spend the time that we are experiencing right now in terms of crossing the border. That's one. Second item, I also want to point out that our finance director and I will be presenting first quarter for fiscal year 2020 status update report. This is obviously going to be a very important item in which we want to make sure that we communicate to the council and to the members of the community where we stand fiscally. We want to make sure that we are very precise in terms of communicating, obviously, some of the work that we've done to contain the fiscal impact of COVID-19. So please expect that at our next meeting. I also want to touch on something that's very important. As part of the new health order that was issued by the Imperial County Public Health Officer, the Tier 1 identifies for libraries to be open. I want to commend and I appreciate the work of our library manager, Ms. Lisette Legaspi, for putting together a roadmap that was presented to me. And we're going to be working on that because we want to make sure that when we are ready to reopen, that we do it in a way where it's safe for our community. So we have a plan in place. Ms. Legaspi and I are going to go into the details of the plan, and we'll be providing you further updates in terms of the timelines that we're going to follow to reopen the library. So I feel that's very important, and I want you guys to know that staff is being proactive to make sure not only to follow the county health order, but also prepare ourselves to reopen some of these public facilities. I want to recognize, again, the City of Calexico Camarena Library. I left in front of you a copy of how the California State Library website is showcasing our library here in Calexico. It's a recognition that's going to be up for this month. And this just was awarded or offered to our library as a result of the organization in providing the service to our community. And it should not go unnoticed. We're going to properly share this with our community. We were informed on Monday, September 14th of this notice. And again, this just pays tribute to the hard work of our staff and the leadership at the library. So we wanted to make sure that we formally made this announcement to you, Mayor and City Council, because not every day you get informed by the state agency that your local library is considered a very, very important piece of the state of California. And pretty much I invite our community to visit the website of the California State Library because we're showcased there. So kudos to Ms. Legaspi, her staff, for their hard work and getting this recognition. The final item, Madam Mayor, for my report has to do with a topic that we all should be concerned about, and that has to do with the cleanup and the aesthetics of Calexico downtown, something that this council has championed and has worked on for the past years. At the next meeting, also please expect an item that we're going to be presenting to you pertaining to a job description for a staff member that we will bring specifically to complement the cleanup services that Republic, our trash company, already provides, because they do a job that's specifically outlined in the agreement that Republic has with the city. But on top of that, it's not enough. It's not enough, and we need to do more. And for that, we need to complement their efforts by taking it up a notch and making sure that the proper cleanup that's needed can serve as an incentive for our businesses in downtown to also want to step up and do a little more. It has to start with us, and we're pursuing this, which we will be further discussing next week. But it's important that we convey this so our community and you, honorable council members, know that we're working on this matter because it's a priority. Our fire chief, our police chief, our supervisor just shared with us that potentially there's an announcement that's going to come in the coming week. If it's in the coming week or in the coming month, we need to be ready. We need to be ready once we get a higher influx of crossers coming through our downtown port. So we're prepping for that. That concludes my report, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Thank you, Miguel. start with the city council comments. I'll start by saying that Santo Tomas, Las Palmas was open today, and they're going to be open Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday. Yesterday, our fire chief and I want to say our police chief met with Mrs. Estrada to make sure that they're following all the guidelines. And as I understand, everything went well, and they opened today. So, hoping that they're going to continue with the serving our community. And like we said, we do have scheduled meetings with customs along with Mr. Escobar. For the coming month, it will be we will be meeting next month in October. And I also want to thank our librarian for her hard work. Congratulations. And thank you, Miguel, for all the update on the cleanup downtown. Okay, now, so I'm going to go to my right, Pro Mayor. Mr. Risen, do you have anything?
I just want to congratulate that the Rising at Rising Park is finally working. I saw it last night, and it was 17 years in the making, and it finally went through. So if anybody wants to go by that Rising Park, you see that the lights, are the lights out tonight, Miguel?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, they're out tonight, so you can go up there and you can walk around the park. Plenty of lighting, and it's pretty safe now. Thank you. That's all I have.
Councilman Pacheco?
Mr. Figueroa, we had a grant for the Heber Park over there by the west side of town, where we had the armory. I know we have penciled in funding, but I know it's going to be a process of when and where we get to check off our monies and what's first, what's second, and what's third. So I know there's a process for the funding sources, but is there a quick little update?
Absolutely. So we continue to communicate with the state agency that we're working with on this project. Right now, our Public Works Department is in the middle of completing a work plan that will be submitted to the state of California. With that work plan, we will officially initiate the process to build out Heber Park as it's been advertised and as it was approved through the $8.5 million that the state of California allocated for us. Work plan is being developed as we speak. As soon as we complete it, we will move on to the next steps. I do want to emphasize that we've been in communication throughout this process with the state. So we're moving forward.
Yeah, it's nice and leveled and clean. I think we are doing some prep work.
Yes, yes, and on top of that, what we want to make sure is that, as you rightfully mentioned, once we are ready to actually see some shovels and some dirt being moved around, that it's ready. And pretty much that's what we're prepping for right now.
Okay. Big projects.
Yes.
Thank you. That's all.
Mr. Garcia?
Again, I want to join the congratulating our library. I think we should highlight, maybe, I don't know, print some banners, put outside the library, just recognizing that, recognition along with the link and all of that. So, but, again, it's commendable, the work that, that the employees do with, what we have. So that is to be commended. And that, that is shown also by the constant request from our citizens that, they want services, and those calls go out, and they are attended to. So it's really great. So it's really great that we get the response, that we get the feedback also from the citizens. So on that, I want to commend, and also something that when I came in, and we were going through the pandemic, probably the most difficult time. I mentioned to someone, and I don't recall right now, that maybe we could do some online, program through the rec department, And I know that, now they have been doing all this online, sketching and different activities. So that is great. I mean, I think that's something that, people staying home, I know that children went back to school and they're doing Zoom, from 8 to 12, and it's difficult. It's difficult, but it's also encouraging to see that there's some other activities for individuals that are still at home, and they can actually just, if they want to do yoga, I think there's also an online class, and I think that some of that our own chief of police and our fire chief have gone and been actually featured in some sort of activities. So that is great. So I think something like that has to continue even when we get out of this situation. So kudos, and again, great job.
Mr.
Okay.
Hatch.
Thank you. I want to address the issue about Santo Tomas, the comment that was made. When there were some people that thought that Santo Tomas was a lost cause or a dead issue, well, before I even get to that point, it's just erroneous to assume or to say that none of us cared about Santo Tomas. We all did in our own way, and we all contributed to trying to restore that swamp meet. But when everyone or some people thought it was a lost cause, I need to be specific and say that I and Councilman Risen continued to call for and hold meetings with key Santo Tomas management and vendors. So for some of them, their memories are short. We did not want to give up on Santo Tomas. We wanted to restore it. The business, the swap meet, that was so valuable and important to our community. So we did some other things, but to say we don't care is not correct. The other issue is, and I'm not going to steal anyone's thunder, and I'm not going to get in detail, but the two approvals that we have on tonight's agenda, items 4 and 5, I believe they demonstrate and prove that the city management and city council and city staff cares for this community. Item 4, COVID-19 Business Stabilization Lending Program will greatly help our small businesses in Calexico, and I'll let our city manager or the appropriate person to give the details on that. Item number 5 will help our Calexico City residents with utility payments for up to 3 months. So here is the city stepping in at a unfortunate time during the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, these two items come at an opportune time during the COVID-19 pandemic, and I hope citizens watching this meeting will acknowledge and admit that this city government cares for its citizens, because we do. We really do, and these two items exemplify that tonight. Thank you.
Mr. Hodge, would you also like to comment on the census, update on the census?
Yes, thank you. We are on September 22nd at approximately 5:30 right here at Rockwood Park. We're going to gather and have a caravan. It's being led by Neighborhood House, and dignitaries and residents will be part of the caravan. And something unusual this time will be about 5 to 6 different primo classic cars from the 1950s and 60s as part of the caravan. So I hope you can join us. Just be aware, and we're going to caravan through some specific streets in Calexico to make everybody aware that it's not over, folks, the census. So please, it's not too late. You've got to do your duty, and it means more revenue and resources for the Imperial Valley. And yeah, that's the census. Thank you.
Yes, I guess the census, I guess people need to know how important it is.
Yes.
To participate. That, like you said, it means
Yeah.
more money to our community.
Fill out the questionnaire.
Also, I forgot to mention that our city manager and myself were invited by Imperial Valley Detention Center facility. They came over to the resource center with Mrs. Hortensia Armendariz, and they presented her over 100 backpacks for the students, which I thought it was very thoughtful, and they're working very hard in our community. So I just want to thank them for their participation and for inviting us. Okay, moving along. So now we're on to consent agenda.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve our little consent agenda item today. I mean, they're important. The warrants from August 15th to August 28th, and city salaries from August 15th, 2020 to August 28th, 2020.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Mayor Ariola Fernandez.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Pryson.
Aye.
Councilmember Pacheco.
Aye.
Councilmember Garcia.
Aye.
Councilmember Hodge.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay. So it'll be items pulled from consent calendar for discussion, discussion and potential action items. For approve the formation of the COVID-19 City of Calexico Business Stabilization Lending Program.
Madam Mayor, City Council members, members of the community, I want to start off this item by just making a quick statement regarding the intention of receiving this federal money through the state of California, through the Department of Finance. On my end, I instructed our finance director, Carla Lovatos, once I certified the $504,000 with $498 that we secured back in July 9th, that we first had to address our general fund. I wanted to make sure that our general fund was covered for any COVID-related expenses. So the $504,000, which were meant to obviously address any COVID-related expense, I wanted to make sure that our general fund was safe, was taken care of. And based on that assessment, we then looked at opportunities to offer. So with that said, that is how this program came about. I want to make sure that we all understand that the city of Calexico and its business community is different, even from the other cities in this county. And the approach through this program is make sure that we focus on the micro and small businesses, which are the ones that have been severely impacted since the month of March. So with that said, this program was put together with a vision that we work hand in hand with our business community. One, where they see that this is an opportunity to see this as a forgivable loan program. We don't want to place the burden right now on businesses to have to pay back money that they're going to use to revamp their business. So with that in mind, this program just calls for two things for this loan to be a forgivable loan. For them to show us that they maintained their staffing level since March, when we received the national declaration of emergency through the pandemic, and also if they let any staff members go, that they recouped and rehired some of these individuals. We're looking at $150,000 for this round. We're capping it off at $7,500. This means that we're going to be able to offer up to 20 loans. Could be a little more depending on the amount of money that the applicants go after. One of the basic things that we're asking for is that, one, that they are in good standing with the city. What does that mean? That they've been operating in the city as of December 31st of 2019, that they have a current business license, and that they're up to date with any utility that they may have with the city of Calexico. With that in mind, one of the things that I want to emphasize is we know the need. We know the need is out there for these businesses. So I want to recognize and thank my city clerk, Gabby Garcia, because she already took care of something that's possibly what everybody is asking themselves out there. where can we access the information? The information is on our city website. You guys will be able to go in under our COVID-19 section that we have on our website and click on the guidelines and on the application. We also there have provided a phone number for any comments or questions people may have. We're going to be taking people in. We invite them to call in this number so we can coordinate and begin to issue these loans. Again, if there are any questions or comments, we'll be more than happy to address them at the city manager's office. And we're going to be working hand in hand with the finance department to issue these loans. That pretty much, Madam Mayor, City Council members, covers the program in a nutshell. Obviously, we will be able to disclose that the loan and the use for these monies can be for any impacts related to this pandemic to their business. And that's obviously a broad range of opportunities that they can be looking into. Thank you.
No, okay, thank you. And now number 5, adopt and approve
Well,
city.
we have to vote on this one. Yes. Oops.
Yeah,
And then I have a few questions and comments.
Sure.
okay. Thank you.
This is good.
I want to commend Mr. Figueroa for having the insight in basically assisting the small business community in Calexico. As you're aware, the county provided $500,000 in seed money and then added an additional $500,000 in seed money, so for a total of $1 million to assist the small business community for Imperial County. So this is, this is a great program given the fact that small businesses are ailing and will continue to unfortunately suffer the ramifications of COVID-19 throughout 2020 and more than likely into 2021. So again, my congratulations to Mr. Figueroa and staff to bring this to the council. The reason I bring this up is because, as we all know, I was lucky enough to serve in Calexico for a short while. Calexico has suffered under a cloud of nepotism for numerous years and even decades. Whether it's perceived or reality, that's not the point. The point is, obviously, you're offering a loan program to small businesses, and what we're trying to do is obviously make it as clean as possible so that it's transparent and that there are no issues involved down the road. I reviewed the information provided. I did not see any information regarding, and I'm going to read this, not related to, and this is coming from the county, not from the city, obviously. And I highlighted a couple of pages just for your review, not related to county elected officer or administrator / department head / similar. Again, it's just something to bear in mind. If it's in there, I apologize. If it's not in there, I would encourage you to include this again. So as elected officials, as department heads, there is an arm's length separation between you and the applicants. And again, that nepotism or that perceived nepotism is erased completely. Thank you.
Question, Supervisor. Do you have any numbers as to how many businesses have applied for this loan through the county?
I cannot tell you the number of businesses, but we are roughly, out of the $1 million that are left over between approved applications and applications pending approval, we're up to roughly $950,000. So there's about a $50,000 threshold left. So if we have interested parties, there is no reason why somebody that applied and received or was denied for whatever the reason, a application to the county cannot apply through the city. So again, I would encourage small businesses that either were approved and funded or were not approved to, again, obviously go for it from a city perspective.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Madam Mayor, I do want to add something.
Okay.
That out of the $504,498 that the city was allocated for this use, I want to make sure that we understand that this money is good and runs through December 31st. Again, the emergency declaration by the federal government was made mid-March. So that's when this clock begins to tick. So on any city-related expenses, on any programs or other uses that that this city council approves, I mean, this is good until December 31st.
Thank you.
I do have a couple of questions. One, as long as they maintain their staffing levels at any level, meaning as far as, you know, part-time, full-time, as long as they kept all their workforce, that meets that, that is meeting this requirement, right? It doesn't have to be full-time.
That is correct, Councilman Garcia.
Okay, so that's one. Then also, I was gonna mention something on the perceived, you know, nepotism, because I know we're a small city, small county, and sooner or later we run into someone that we might know might be related. So somehow, you know, there has to be some firewall, but also we have to make sure that we don't leave someone out of an opportunity to, you know, take advantage of this program and get back into business. So we might want to just do something about that, you know, something to think about. And the other suggestion, this is just a suggestion also, I don't know how the intake process, how the eligibility process is going to look like. I know that the county at the beginning, that there were some, I guess, just lessons learned from starting with the whole application, with the whole intake. So somehow, if we can expedite, or we can even maybe put some of these forms online on our website, that people might start, you know, filling those out before they show up. If you're going to do a by appointment type of, you know, intake. I don't know how that is going to look like, and probably I'm getting into specifics, but again, something to think about. We have a very short window. We need to put this out there as soon as possible. I see the timelines here, you know, 5 days to 2 weeks for approval. So, and those are great timelines, and I think it's really expedited, but just if we can just capture some of the information, some of the data before coming here, and also, because we're not open yet, you know, to people or to the public, maybe working on some type of self-attestation type of process, you know, for the individuals that will be applying. So looking at those things, looking at those processes, can expedite and get this money out there as soon as possible. So just suggestions.
Absolutely. All those are points well taken, Councilman Garcia. As the guideline and the item that you have in front of you identifies, we will officially begin to take applications September 21st. So with that, I just want to make sure that our community that's listening to our meeting can take advantage of the information that we already put up on our website. I want to make sure that they have a chance to look at the information, ask questions, so they can be prepped and ready. And I'm going to be coordinating with staff, obviously. Again, everybody's going to step up. Everybody's going to step up because we know we need to do this. We've done our due diligence. We did the assessment that I shared with you. Now we are ready to offer this program, and we want to move fast. That's why some of the times that we stipulated here to get back and let people know if they're going to be eligible or they're going to qualify is fairly fast, because we know that the business community has been waiting and is in dire need of this money. Rapidito nomás en español a las personas que estén escuchando, comuníquense nada más al número que aparece en la página web, en la sección COVID-19, COVID-19, está ahí la documentación que van a tener que seguir a todos que estén interesados. Estamos para atenderles. So that's pretty much the item, Madam Mayor.
One last thing, now that you went to Spanish, just on maybe a fact sheet on this program.
Yes.
And the one that is coming up that we're going to be discussing, you know, English and Spanish, you know, just put it out there, you know, some fact sheet FAQs, something that can help and expedite. Again, you know, we got to get this out.
Absolutely.
Will this go on our website?
Yes, it's on our website right now.
That's, okay.
Well, but it should be in Spanish.
Now, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion, Madam Mayor, to
Second?
approve
moved.
this item.
Second?
Okay.
Mayor Arreola Fernandez,
Aye.
Mayor Pretend Bryson,
Aye.
Councilmember Pacheco,
Aye.
Councilmember Garcia,
Aye.
Councilmember Hodge.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, item 5. Adopt and approve City of Calexico substance payments options and substance payments guidance for assistance with utility payments. Mr. Figueroa?
Absolutely. 2 meetings ago, the City Council approved a resolution so the City of Calexico could submit to the Department of Housing and Community Development an application as part of the funding that we secured through the CDBG program, the Community Development Block Program. Again, as part of the incentives and support program that's being offered to municipalities in the state of California. With that said, we now come to you because as a result of our game plan to support businesses, creating the Business Stabilization Program through the CARES Act money, we want to make sure that we use the CDBG money to provide utility assistance. Utility assistance in the form of electricity, water, and gas. What does this mean? This means that we will be able to support up to $700 that have been expended on electricity, up to $300 on water, and up to $100 on gas. And I do want to emphasize something. This is for low-income households. Low-income households. We are following the guidelines of the CDBG program, and as part of the guidelines that we will be presenting to the public, we are following CDBG's income limits, and that's based on the number of people per household. That is how the monies will be allocated. One of the things that I do want to point out is that there's the opportunity for people to benefit from this program with up to 90 days, of services that they've paid through the utilities. So that's something that we need to be aware of. Again, this goes back to the mid-March date that I said, March 13th. So from March 13th on of this year, anybody that's eligible under our criteria could be considered for these utility substance program. Again, this is something that we believe is in the best interest to offer our community. This is also something that our finance department is going to be working on closely with some of the partner agencies. In this case, obviously, the water is something that we handle here internally as a city. When it comes to gas, SoCal. When it comes to power, IID. So these are opportunities that we're putting out there again. There is something here that I do want to point out in which the certification of income is something that's going to be amenable, that's going to be something simple for us to work on directly with the interested party. So again, at the end of the day, what we're looking at is trying to expedite the support, So by this council approving this item, we will be moving forward with the state of California, completing our application process, so we can move forward and offer the program in the coming weeks to our constituents.
Mr. City Manager?
Yes, sir.
As a low-income resident, can they qualify for all 3 different areas at the same time, or it just has to be one?
Absolutely.
Okay, they can
Yes.
qualify for all 3.
Yes, they can.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Figueroa, do we have a list of those individuals that we've allowed and extended their water payments? That would be a list for us to already look at and provide the assistance, with a phone call and, I don't know if we have a list or.
Absolutely. Our finance department has done a diligent job in keeping track of all constituents that have come and asked for this opportunity. So those individuals are already identified, and certainly those are options that we can consider. Obviously, we want to make sure that we let our residents know like it was mentioned right now by Councilman Hodge, that they're entitled to receive support if they qualify for any of the 3 utility opportunities here.
They just say that they might be eligible, not entitled, because that's a word that sometimes, you know, is
It's based on an eligibility criteria. That's correct.
No, both plans are good, both.
Before this council takes any action, I do want to point out something else. On top of the items that we've presented to you, we as an administration, after checking with the mayor and council, are going to be looking to assisting our business community across the board in Calexico. Across the board, everybody's going to get an opportunity where the city's going to champion an advertisement campaign for the businesses here in Calexico. What that entails is, depending on the industry that businesses are in, they'll be able to showcase that in the form of a video, so we can inform our community through our city platforms what these businesses offer as a service, offer as a product. Now that we get ready and as we continue to see the progress in our numbers related to the COVID pandemic, as they begin to open shop, we want to make sure that we give them that extra push so they can obviously hit the ground running once they can begin to conduct business. So I do want to throw that out there because that is something that is not only needed, but that we should deliver to our business community here in Calexico.
And one more thing, I know that, you know, staff is already doing a lot of things, but one thing that I've seen and that I think came out of the Imperial Valley Business Recovery Task Force, that they have a website, and they have, asked, around, businesses that are currently open. So they actually put that information up so people know who's open, who's operating under, which, modality. If we can do that, I mean, I know that our chamber, I don't think it's open. So, we can just take some initiative and probably add that part to our website and just, guide our people, our citizens, as they come and look for other resources so they can see something about businesses, who is open, who's doing what. That will be something additional that we can probably provide to the community.
And Mr. Garcia, I think you're being extremely humble, because I think it's fair for the community to know that the Imperial County Workforce Development Office also has championed a survey to get a better understanding of the affectation that businesses have gone through. So all that factual and anecdotal information is what we as a city need to know. And knowing that information, receiving that information goes a long ways as to how we support our business community. That is where this concept surfaced from, in terms of taking that extra step to help businesses now that they are looking to reopen. So thank you for that.
Make a motion, Madam Mayor, to approve item number 5.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Mayor Arreola Fernandez.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Bryson.
Aye.
Councilmember Pacheco.
Aye.
Councilmember Garcia.
Aye.
Councilmember Hodge.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Aye, matey, aye.
Moving on to 6, appointment by Mayor Arreola Fernandez to the Centennial State Prison Advisory Committee, Diego Fabilan. I know you have already been in the committee, so will you accept the appointment?
Very good.
Do we have a motion?
It's just an appointment?
Just an
Okay,
appointment?
not just, but it's an appointment.
Okay, now appointment by Mayor Arreola Fernandez of a primary representative and alternative to the Imperial County Transportation Commission, ICTC Board. Mr. Bill Hodge, Councilman Bill Hodge.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'm very interested in returning, and I would like to be seriously considered or appointed as primary representative to the ICTC.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to number 8. appointment by Mayor Arola Fernandez of Administrative Hearing Officer to the Municipal Code, Section 1.27.090, Hearing Officer. Chief, will you,
Good evening again. I was asked by the mayor just to reflect a little bit on our former hearing officer. Iran Martinez was a co-worker of mine. He passed away, but he worked, and I along worked when he was at the probation department. I attended some classes out of town with him too. Was Sergeant Legaspi, and we went and traveled up, not together, but we met up there for some classes up in the Orange County area a couple of times. He cared for the community. When he was a hearing officer, he was very fair, and I can always count on him when he had citations that were the parking citations or citations that we gave on behalf of the department. But he also was a hearing officer for other city ordinance violations throughout the city that our court enforcement issued, or anything that had to come in front of him. I saw him work, and he was very, very humble. He would listen to the people, but he was stern too. He didn't let people get away with their lies and sob stories. But the people that couldn't afford to pay a full citation, he had the power under the city ordinance to either do payments or reduce the payment, or find them guilty but suspend, waive the fee at the time. So very, very, very good hearing officer, educated man, family man, and he will be missed. He is missed actually by us. And at this time, we can just offer their family, put them up in our prayers for you that do prayers, not just send positive thoughts to the family. I think we should have started. I should have started this with just asking for a moment of silence, in kind of celebration of his life, because he was a funny guy, got along with us, joked around, but I mean, he also gave back to his community. So if we can take a moment of silence, Mayor, just maybe 30 seconds, for Mr. Iran Martinez. Madam Mayor, thank you very much for this opportunity, and I know that the person you appoint also comes in with a lot of experience, coming from the probation department, educated man, also will be very fair. So it's a good pick, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chief.
I also want to comment on Mr. Martinez. Mr. Martinez was my daughter's classmate and worked with him. So my condolences to the family and prayers. I will now be appointing Jaime or Jimmy Duron as our hearing officer.
Very good. Good choice.
Okay, so now moving on. Appointment of primary representative and alternative to the Imperial Valley Economic Development Corporation. Mr. Camilo Garcia, will you accept the position?
Yes, madam.
I guess that's all we have. Do we have any future?
We need a alternate.
Oh, for the altar, Mr. Bryson?
It's all accepted.
Okay, now moving on, do we have any future agenda items? Mr. Mayor? Do we have?
I have none at this point, Madam.
Councilman Pacheco?
Nothing at the moment, no.
Councilman Garcia?
It's not really a future item, but I was just thinking that it was discussed the cleanup in downtown, and that's great. But I also wanted to ask, that what's going on with the former Burger King site?
Oh, I'm just gonna say that one.
That's an eyesore, and that's something that it's in our.
It's an eyesore. I was going to mention it.
Councilman Garcia, do you want me to address this item right now, or you wish for me to?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Our code enforcement team has been working closely with the property owner. I recently got engaged and reached out to the legal representative of the owner, just because of the time that has elapsed. And as you rightfully mentioned, it doesn't help at all the image of Imperial Avenue. The response that I received was that they are working with 2 companies outside of Imperial Valley and 1 local contractor here to sort this out. I asked that they keep me abreast on the status of the work they're doing, because this needs to be resolved sooner than later. And I conveyed that message to the legal representative of the property owner. My expectation is that hopefully come the next city council meeting, 1, we would either have the matter resolved, or at a minimum, I can provide you a timeline as to when this is going to be taken care of.
Thank you, appreciate it. Nothing else?
Yeah, the Burger King is very important, so thank you. We have a lot of dark spots or places with no lighting in the city, I believe. And I would like to recommend some type of action plan where we, in due time, within our budget, we make an assessment of lighting that is out within our city and the areas, and we prioritize and we work on them diligently as much as we can within our budget, our lighting, because that's a safety issue also, and so I think that's a very important area to work on. Okay. That's it.
Okay, well, I don't have anything. Okay, well, thank you very much. And good night, everybody.
Meeting adjourned.
Meeting is adjourned.